be able to make a closing statement. So this is the last question I'm going to ask before I invite them to make a closing statement. I want to thank all of you. We've had a wonderful range of questions. Among the questions that will not be asked by me tonight is the question, what do these board members think about the practice of rehiring retired teachers? As an old tax lawyer myself, that is one of my favorite questions, but I realize that not everybody shares the same passion I have for tax and revenue. What are your thoughts about the value of the arts program? What is your ideal method of school funding, excluding property tax? What is your vision for the Aurora Road School? And what is your vision for activities for kids in Oakwood? So you have not been ignored. Thank you all for an astonishing range of thoughtful questions. Now, for our candidates, starting with Ms. Oh, you told me 8. I've just been told we're going till 8:30, so we'll get to all those questions. Okay, I just follow the rules.
They're good questions.
They are good questions. Now, Ms. Patterson, we've heard a lot about the challenges facing the Bedford schools. What do you see as the strengths of the school system?
What do you see as what?
The strengths of the school system.
Our strengths are our teachers, our students, our parents. Those are our strengths. Our strength, we have good, strong teachers. I can't say, I worked in Cleveland and I'll match the teachers in Bedford against any teacher in this country. They are good teachers. They work hard. And it's not their fault. It's our fault because we have to push our children to do better, to want more, to do more. That's it. Our teachers are our strength. Our buildings are old, but it doesn't matter because they're doing a job in those old buildings.
Mr. Beck. Yes.
I agree with Mrs. Patterson. We have one of the greatest staffs that you could ever find. I mean, the reality of it is we've done surveys with all the people that work here, and you'll see it over and over and over again. People love to work here because we have a great staff, and great teamwork. Part of the thing is we talked about before, we have a lot of turnover in students, and that is a real problem. Because when and this has been going on for years. I'll never forget, I talked to Nora Beach. She said, this has been going on for 35 years. She said, when I started class, I had 22 kids. I had 22 kids at the end of the year, and only 12 had been there for the whole year. We've got to stabilize that, but what Mrs. Patterson said, it's the people, our strength is the people that live here, the teachers, the staff, and I'll tell you, all the people who do all of the work to keep the buildings up and keeping them in good shape. If you go around through the high school or any of these schools, they're clean, they're kept up as best as we can. And the fact of the matter is that we've done a good job of that stuff. That is our strength. People.
Ms. Boyd.
I don't know all that Bedford City School District has to offer, but because I am an educator, I'm also a member of the collective bargaining team where I am a union rep. I know that a strength is in the staff that you employ. So I'm sure that that is one of our strongest areas, is having consistency with the teaching staff. Also, I think it is in the involvement of the community. Just look at you tonight. You're here. That's what makes us strong, when you have a voice in what is being said and what is being done in your school district. I just want you to know, as a board member to be, I will hear your voice. I will be your voice if I could just get your vote. So I just want you to know that we're all in this together. We're only as strong as our weakest link.
Thank you. Mr. Mesnick, I'm going to ask you this question first. What is the current board's policy about rehiring retired teachers? And what do you think the policy should be?
Policy now is that we will rehire, but they go back to a lower rate of revenue or income. I firmly believe in hiring, retiring and hiring. And the reason is because so much money is going into the pension plans. When I first got on the school board, the first thing I noticed that we were putting 24.6% of our revenue into the school board, into the pension plan. I did a study on this thing. I had people doing actuarial analysis, and it's going to take a lot more than 30 seconds to be able to tell you all the things I did. But the fact is, we restructured the pension plans in Ohio that it saved the state of Ohio, actually had generated $6 to $7 billion more. It was all because of me. Workers' compensation refunded $1 billion. That was because of my efforts. I know pension plans, and I know, and the thing about it, if a person doesn't start collecting their money early enough, they can't collect their money. Every person who works here until 35 years has got over $1 million in their pension plan, and they should be able to collect that. Otherwise, they die and it's gone.
Thank you.
Pension plan keeps the money.
Would you?
Yes.
Ms. Boyd?
I have to admit that I do not know the policy on rehiring, retiring. I don't know. I'm sure that those people would bring a lot to the district because it's a district that they're accustomed to. But one thing I would have to say, we need new ideas. We need new, we have to bring in something new. We have to be able to connect to the children that we serve. And sometimes when you bring in a retiree, the focus is on what it used to be like, what I used to do, what education used to be like. We need new people, new ideas. So I guess a barrier would be that bringing on retirees, especially, that's one job that when you were a teacher, you tend to stay there 30 years. So we need those new ideas, and we need those new people to come in and bring something new to our district to make us more competitive locally and nationally. Thank you.
I'm answering the question.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Thank you.
When I first came into the district, I was totally against rehire. But in my old age, I have kind of relinquished and said, okay. And we have rehired, I think, 5 people. They retired and we rehired them. But I was totally against it because, even though I retired, I did not go back to the same school district to work. I went to Shaker and Warrensville because I don't want to take a job from a young person who needs to help raise her family when I can just sit at home and collect my check. But I enjoy being out with the kids. I enjoy getting out and seeing what they're doing. I enjoy getting out and see what the styles of the young folks are. So that keeps me young.
Thank you. Ms. Boynton, other than local real property taxes, how do you fund public schools? If you could wave a magic wand and just do whatever you want.
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question?
Other than local real estate property taxes, how would you fund public schools if you could do it any way you wanted? If you had no restrictions?
There was no restrictions?
Well, yeah.
Well, I
It
think
has
it
to be
should.
feasible though. It can't just be, I'm going to ask Tom Stayer to pay for it.
Well, I do think that if we have to have another alternative than just property taxes, because it's killing us. It really is. I'm not quite sure how we could fund the schools, but I do think that because the state funding changed so much, at the local level and the national level, I would hope that at some point, they would put some educators on those committees and the people that know about schools and the resources that are needed to make our children in the United States, in the state of Ohio, in the city of Bedford, Bedford Heights, Oakwood, and Walton Hills, see how much money it takes to educate, to really educate a child. So I want to be on one of those committees. I want some people that are really involved in the day-to-day activities and educating a child to be on the committee so we can be in better control of those state projects.
Ms. Harrison, if you could wave a magic wand, how would you fund public schools?
If I could wave the magic wand, I would have the state, the president, anybody but people that live in the community. Personal property tax, sometimes we get some money from them, sometimes we don't. Because if you move out, we don't get that personal property tax. Personal property taxes to the schools have gone down since I've been in the district. But I think the state should also come out and see in all school districts and see how much it costs to educate one child. And maybe they would give us some more money. Just maybe.
Mr. Mesnick.
I'm actually one of the few people that actually has made a difference. I came up with, when Gary Gottschalk became mayor, he said we have to grant abatements. I went back to our superintendent and said, look, we need to grant abatements. He said, we can't do that. I said, why? Because we need the money. I said, look, we graduate 300 kids a year out of this school district. If we don't create jobs in the community, where are they going to go to work? But when we granted the abatements to Oakwood Village, I went to Gary and said, look, we're going to share in the city income tax. That had never been done in the United States. I'm the one who came up with that. We have generated millions of dollars for Bedford City Schools because we've shared the city income tax from the other communities. But the fact of the matter is we needed to create jobs, which we did. And if you take a look right now, Oakwood Village and Walton Hills are the 4th and 5th lowest in Cuyahoga County in taxes because we created businesses to come in, and that's the answer. You've got to take the vacant land, turn it into commercial property, and generate more and more taxes. If we lose the Ford plant, it looks like somebody is going to buy the Ford plant now. Ford alone generates over $2.5 million in real estate taxes. We've got to increase the real estate tax base, and you do that through abatements and sharing the city income tax. I did that. Nobody else had ever done that before. Where's the applause? Generated millions of dollars.
Mr. Mesnick, earlier you also said that we were we're growing on us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm beginning to feel it all. That Bedford is a very rich district. If it has such a rich district, why does it have these financial problems? Where do the levy dollars go?
Right now, we have $18 million in our checking account. We don't have a financial problem, ladies and gentlemen. The fact of the matter is, this is the richest school district. We have 3 railroads. We have 2 freeways go down through the middle of it. When I was on the planning commission in Oakwood Village, East Ohio Gas came in and said, we'd like to do a study on your community. I said, how much is it going to cost? They said, it's free. So what are you waiting for? They came back 6 weeks later and said, you know what? You're in the best location in the nation. You can get on a freeway from Oakwood Village and Bedford School District, go to Chicago or New York and never hit a traffic light. This is a perfect location for production distribution. We have 3 railroads. Nobody has 3 railroads. We have the Norfolk Main Line. We have a line that goes out to Garrettsville, and the other one goes out to Sloan. And those lines that we have, the entire area is railroaded, including Walton Hills, Oakwood, Bedford Heights, and Bedford. So the reality of it is, that's why we're rich. We have all this, but right now we have more businesses in the Bedford School District than Solon has. Most people don't see it because we have 4 communities. We have 1,250 businesses, and we need to bring in more. And that's what we're into doing, and the school district has been very supportive of our communities. When they've asked for an abatement, or they've asked for us to help them, we've been there to help them. And that's one of the reasons, because I'm on the school board.
Ms. Boynton, would you like to comment on that?
Just a short comment. I think we're rich because of the people that live in the district. I think that we have, I often hear since I've been canvassing that from some of the residents in the communities that I love the city that I live in, but I don't like the school, so I'm sending my child to another school, which eventually, those families will eventually leave the city that they live in and leave the district. So we're rich because we care. We're rich because of the people. The businesses are here, but we, of course, we need more, and we're not gonna get more until our district gets better.
Ms. Patterson?
We are rich in the diversity of all 4 communities. We are rich. We have not come back to ask for a levy. We passed the levy 4 years ago. We're working on 6 years with the levy money. Our treasurer and our staff have been accountable for all and reducing the spending that we don't have to come back to the voters for a levy after 6 years. And the levy was only supposed to last for 4 years, but we're working on 6 years. So we're rich in our communities. We're rich in our diversity. We're rich in our staff. We're rich in our students.
Okay. What do you think about the value in a school system of the arts programs, the visual arts and musical arts? And Ms. Patterson, I'm going to ask you to answer this first.
Oh, I love the arts. Right question. I was a dancer. I acted. So I love the arts. I don't believe that the arts should be taken out of schools. I go to plays at Caramel. I go to plays down at Ohio Theater. I love the arts, and I think our children should love the arts too. If they're not introduced to the arts, they will not like the arts. But they get that here. They get music. If you've not been to one of the music concerts from kindergarten all the way up to the 12th grade, if you have not been to one of the plays, you need to come. Our children do well in the arts, and I will be totally against taking art, music out of the schools.
Yes. What value do you place on arts education?
The arts and the athletic program, they're essential. The fact of the matter is, it's where these kids learn teamwork, they learn their skills. I mean, I agree with Ms. Patterson totally. I mean, I would fight in the last breath to keep all of those programs here, because they are absolutely essential to the growth of a child and everything that they do. And if you take a look at, particularly in the music thing, it's a repetition. It's the same thing in athletics. You practice till you get good at something. The fact of the matter is, that's what you have to be able to do in life. And if you're doing it that way, it's one of the programs that, in fact, the kids can, and not only that, but you can draw a picture, you can do something with your hands, and you can create something that's never been created before. Who else can do that? The fact of the matter is, each one of us can do that. Sandy Spinks over there is an artist. She's got some beautiful things that she's doing all the time. And the reality of it is, people make a living. We've had, in fact, if you go all the way back to Archibald Willard, did the Spirit of 76. He's right here from Bedford, Ohio.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes, I think the arts, excuse me, addresses the whole child. I do think it's very important. I would be very disappointed too, but as you know, when we start talking about state funding to the school, that is the first area that is cut. All of our special classes, they're cut because the state says it's not that important. Our district says we don't have the money, but we do have the money. So we will keep arts in the school because it does addresses the whole child. And I have to say, we have a lot of children should leave the district, and I spoke of that before. If you don't have something different that you're offering, they're not coming back either. So we need to keep the arts in our district because it does address the whole child.
Now, Mr. Mesnick, what are the plans for the kids in Oakwood, with activity programs in Oakwood?
Actually, the mayor has put together an enormous program for the education of the kids that live in Oakwood Village. It handles mathematics. I taught speed reading this summer, along with speed learning and memorization. It's a great program. And what he's done is he's had the corporations donate money to this program. He spent last year about $100,000 on educating the kids that were there in Oakwood Village. And the mayor that we have there is very creative. I think that, and I've known Gary since 1956. We used to throw snowballs at each other. Well, when he graduated from Bedford High School, he got a full scholarship to Case Western Reserve in physics. The guy's very bright, and he's doing stuff that I don't know that anybody else had ever done. And he believes that children's education is important. He believes that in the summertime that he can put together a program that's going to help these kids in the long run, and actually it is doing that.
Thank you. Ms. Boynton, would you like to address the question?
I'm not familiar with, it was in regards to Oakwood, I'm not familiar with the education that is happening in Oakwood, but I will say it is very important that all 4 communities have something to help and to assist the school district with educating our children, because we are one. We are in the same district. We all are in the same district. I do believe that those programs can happen if the board attends the council meetings, the council and the mayor attends the board meeting, that at some point that we all get together and we can express the needs, that the very needs of the school district to the communities and the community leaders, and we can come up with programs, because we have a lot of people that want to help, but they haven't felt welcome enough to help. So we need you, the community needs the board needs the community, and it's just so important that we all get on the same page to help educate our children. It's just not one school, it's in one city, it's all of us together.
Ms. Patterson.
We have a very good program for our children in the summertime. We do. And we give scholarships. I was the first president of the Oakwood Scholarship Committee. We give 16 scholarships. Most of them are for the students in Oakwood, but then we give 2 to any student that attends Bedford High School. So Oakwood cares about their children.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Boynton, do you have a vision for the Aurora Road School?
I can honestly say, I do not. I do not know. I have to keep saying, I'm not privileged because I am not a board member. They do have the advantage, they do know what